Hey everyone, welcome to the seesaw day for Bitcoin. So what do we have? We had Bitcoin come down quite a bit, come back up. Miners actually did the same thing. They went down, they came back up for the most part. There were a couple that were in the red, but it wasn't too bad. Kind of like the way I thought it was going to play out last night when I said I think Bitcoin might go lower, but then we were going to bounce back throughout the day. And sure enough, we kind of did that. So it worked out pretty well overall. Miners were in the green for the most part, which was good. We have a bunch of good news stories as well. Then we're going to talk about Bitcoin, adoption, all that stuff as always. And then we also will take a look at the miners' market share of the network hash rate for Bitcoin, right? Has that improved or has that come down over the last month since we last checked? We'll take a look at the details there. And we'll also maybe take a look at the MNAV for the miners right now, okay? So we got a few things to go over. As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice, for tuner only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And then put a comment in, share the video. You know, it helps me out and doesn't cost you guys a penny. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in Bitcoin here. Bitcoin is going up nicely a little bit here again on the new day. Go to the screen here, and we can see Bitcoin definitely had a rough day today, and a seesaw day, right? It came down, it came back up. We went basically down, well, we were down much lower. We hit a low of $102,105 on the money there. And then we hit a high also on the same day, $107,137.68. We closed at $105,616.18. So a nice rebound there. And we look at the 1 hour chart, we can definitely see that seesaw there all the way down, and then we bounced back up here. We had a little double tap here on trying to go down lower, and then we bounced back up nicely here. We do have quite a bit info as far as Bitcoin ETFs buying in. I think we might be over, maybe we'll see what IBIT reports, but I think we might be over like $500 million in inflows into those things here today. So did those things rescue us? Maybe. Or was it just, you know, Argo's playing with us here a little bit on the new day or Monday after the nice pump on Sunday, came crashing down and then picking back things up a little bit here. So a little profit taking, maybe, we'll see. But overall, things are looking pretty good. RSI is looking good on the 1 hour, the 4 hour as well, and the dailies still looking pretty good here. So we still can run for a little bit longer before we have a little bit more of a correction here. So there's Bitcoin. Bitcoin did good. Bitfarms was flat on the day. Basically ended up where it started out. BitDeer was up just a little bit, 0.86%. Cypher was actually down 1.3%. Cleanspark was up just a teeny weeny bit. It was up 0.61%, along with CORZ being up 0.65. Hive was up 0.97, Hut 8, 0.23, also a little bit. IREN was up 1.55%. Mara up 0.68%. Riot was down 1.97. Wolf was up 2.83%, and it's at the 100-day moving average there right now. MicroStrategy did finish out the day in the green here, being up 3.41% up. Galaxy was up 3% as well. And then what else do we have here? Semler was up 5.85%. It's having a nice little run here. And then the blockchain group was up nicely today, 21% on that one. This thing has had a huge run here recently. If we take a look at this one from the bottom here, more or less here, it is up, wow, 596%. Who would have thought that, huh? That thing has had a massive run up here. So that thing has done well. If you got into that one, again, congratulations on that one. Small miners were in the green for the most part. Argo was the only one that was down. BitDigital was up nicely, 5.46%. BitQ, the ETFs, or for the miners ETFs, was up 2%. BKCH was up 1.1%. DAP was up 2.45%, and WGMI is up 0.72%. So overall, not too bad of a day, all things considered, where Bitcoin started out, ended, and then throughout the day, we ended up much greener here. So it was a good day overall. If we look at where Bitcoin is right now for the month of May, we're up 12.59%. We're looking good. We got a couple more days, about 2 weeks to go on it, and we should end out May in the green here, which is going to be nice. Now, Bitcoin ETF inflows today. We're still waiting for IBIT to report. BlackRock, right? That one has been buying consistently here. We'll see how much of an inflow we get for it later on, probably tonight or tomorrow. We'll see that data for it. But we had $361 $361 million being bought in. If we get a nice number from IBIT, we could be definitely over $500 million being bought in. So that would be great to see that. And, you know, it's just a continuation of institutions and investments being bought into Bitcoin here, which is great. A couple good news stories that we do have here, and then we'll get into the miners metrics here a little bit. This is from Matthew Siegel here. Jamie Dimon says JPM will allow clients to buy Bitcoin. Holy cow, right? Jamie Dimon has called Bitcoin in the past red poison. And he would fire anybody that invests in Bitcoin that works for him. Well, things have changed, didn't they? A lot of times I like to not really go by what he says or anybody in this space really what they say, but follow what they do, right? So we've seen this kind of transition with JP Morgan Chase there over the years, in the last couple of years more so, where they're becoming more pro Bitcoin here than they have. So this is great news. Adoption, right? Adoption is happening. We're seeing adoption. What's adoption going to lead to? Higher Bitcoin price, which is what we want. Next here, Michael Saylor, strategy obviously continues to buy here. So they acquired another 7,390 Bitcoin for $764.9 million at an average price of 103,498. So they were, during the day today, they were below that a little bit because they probably were buying last week. And Bitcoin has achieved a BTC yield for them of 16.3% year to date. And they currently hodl 576,230 Bitcoin acquired for $40.18 billion at an average price of 69,726. Too bad it couldn't be like 69,420 something. If you guys know the numbers there. So that's great, right? They continue to stack, which is lovely to see. We're also seeing other companies doing the same thing. So just in I'm going to probably butcher this name, so I do apologize. Abraj Restaurants Group becomes first publicly traded company in Middle East to purchase Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset, right? Remember that little snowball of companies starting to buy Bitcoin, put it on their little treasury reserves? Well, that little snowball is starting to roll down the hill pretty fast here, and we're having it become a much, much larger group of companies that are doing this. Adoption. I love seeing this. I hope you guys love seeing this as well. And then this is from Dennis Porter. This is huge. 80% of Americans want to diversify U.S. gold reserves into Bitcoin. 4 in 5 Americans would convert some U.S. gold reserves into Bitcoin, right? We talked about this a little bit, what was it, yesterday? Might have been yesterday's stream, where we talked about the U.S. is thinking about possibly revaluing their gold that they have right now on the reserves and selling a portion of that to buy Bitcoin. So this is based on a poll from the Nakamoto Project. They surveyed 3,345 Americans about their desire to convert U.S. gold reserves to Bitcoin. Most Americans want a 1% to 30% conversion. The median preferred conversion is 10%. And younger Americans want more Bitcoin. So the younger you are, the more bullish you're on Bitcoin, considering, and the older you are, you're less bullish on Bitcoin, right? So it's kind of interesting there to take a look at it. We can probably zoom this in for you guys as well so you can see it here. So this is great news, right? We are seeing also I think the mind share change in people's perception of Bitcoin and what it could actually mean for them going forward. So that is also really good to see. There's this adoption curve, right? I think we're just getting to that adoption curve where we start seeing real parabolic rises in the adoption happening here. And, this story, other stories, everything that comes into play here is just more adoption, and it's just all good. It's all great. And then lastly here, we have this one here. This is from Matthew Siegel here. Let's see here. Bitcoin is like a nuclear reactor that has been installed in our balance sheet. This is from Meluz. Cash 3BZ, market cap 160 million. Brazil's first Bitcoin treasury company. Chairman Israel Salomon on the conference call, right? You can see here on the price of their action of the stock. When they announced it, I guess, you can see how the stock has performed here going forward. So as more companies see this type of action, and we're seeing this obviously in like Semler, we're seeing it in others as well that are buying Bitcoin, putting it on their treasury, those companies tend to do pretty well as far as stock price is concerned. So as more CEOs see this and more CFOs see this, they might start to think more about putting Bitcoin on their treasury there, okay? So this is great news, just a nice little comment there. And it does definitely fuel those companies going forward here. As long as Bitcoin is going up, if Bitcoin's coming down, well, it does the opposite for them. So that's the great news that I have for you guys today. It's all good. I love seeing it. I haven't seen anything. Oh, also the Genius Act passed the Senate for more debate there, I guess, is happening. So that's good. Hopefully that gets passed. We definitely need to fund, obviously, pretty ambitious projects and things like that. And I think that would be a good way to go about it. So that's happening there as well. All right. If I miss anything, let me know. We'll cover it maybe tomorrow or something like that. But this is all I got for you guys here. Let's take a look at the miners here. Bitcoin network hash rate versus the miners. How has the network hash rate grown versus the miners' growth themselves? And it's going to be a little bit challenging here going forward if Bitfarms and Core no longer provide monthly updates. We won't know where the hash rate is. Bitfarms is probably going to be pretty flat here going forward. They don't have very much growth left. Maybe I would say a little bit less than maybe a exahash left. CORZ, we don't know. CORZ is obviously going to be questionable. They are supposed to get the 15 exahash of block miners, the A6 there from block, later on this second half of the year coming up here. So that might change things for us. And maybe they'll provide something on that when those do get installed or something. I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to take out some hash rate here, and that'll revalue the percentage of the miners that I cover here, right? So I cover about 10 miners. This is based on those. There's obviously a lot more publicly traded miners that I'm not including here. I'm just including the ones that I'm covering right now. And those guys usually, well, they make up a large portion of it, as you can see here. But here's what we got. So the network hash rate for Bitcoin month over month increased quite a bit here from March to April. We went from 816 exahash at the start of, or the end of March to the end of April. We got to 870 exahash at that point. So that was quite a sizable increase. While the miners only increased from 243 exahash to 252 exahash, so we had about roughly a 9 exahash increase across the miners here. And you can see that here. We had 8.9 increase for the miners, and we had 54 exahash in the total network. So some things might have been coming on that were offline before. As the price of Bitcoin has continued to rise up, that's usually what happens there. And we do see the miners actually take a little bit of a hit on the market share there at that point. And then you can see that on the chart below here. So you can see we've seen definitely some times where the market does outgrow the miners themselves, but then there's other times when the miners actually do catch up and actually do better than the network themselves. You can see that down here. For April, it looks like they were about 29% of the overall network hash rate, representing the miners that I cover at least. If you include some of the other miners that are much smaller, at that point we're probably looking at maybe like 30, gosh, I don't know, maybe between 30 and 35, I'm guessing somewhere around there. That would add into it as well. But you can see that times the miners do dip a little bit here. Like this recent dip, we are down to 29% of the network hash rate. We were almost 30% in March, but then we had a, down lower, but it does dip sometimes, and then they continue to go back up as they get more hash rate installed and things like that. So that's nothing really concerning there to take a look at that. And then here's the month over month increases of the miners that we saw here for them. 3.7% increase overall, but they increased, so still a nice increase, but not like the ones that we've had here, 11% or 10% or even 14% going all the way back to July of 2023. And then the individual miners themselves, the month over month miners hash rate market share increase or decrease. Hive actually has improved their market share by 0.217%. Right, that's the best one there. Along with IREN, IREN improved theirs by 0.17771%. And then we had Mawson being up just 0.09% and BitTier being up 0.05%. So those guys gained market share, while we had Bitfarms, Cypher, Cleanspark actually lost the most here, being down 0.2%. Core, as well as Hut 8, and Hut 8 I don't think reported their numbers, so their numbers are off anyways. And then Riot as well being down 0.16%. So that's how things have been playing out here recently for the miners and everything else. That how much do they contribute to the network hash rate of Bitcoin, right? How much do they contribute to securing the network hash rate as well, the blockchain there? I expect these guys to continue to take market share over time, right? Kind of as we've seen here. If you look at it from last year in March and April, they were at 18%. They improved their market share by 10% here. So over time, I believe that this is going to continue to grow here as time progresses. All right. So there's a market share comparison for the miners and the network hash rate on that one. And then take a look at MNAV really quick here as well. So this is miners market to net asset value. And this is based on, I got to update this. I just realized that I have to update this. So we'll cover this tomorrow because I had to upgrade their total liabilities to the latest quarterly results they provided us here. And I just noticed that I haven't updated that. So that will be done. Tomorrow I'll do that and we'll cover this. We'll see what the multiples are on these guys right now for tomorrow. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The only other thing we can possibly take a look at is going to be the enterprise metrics really quick. We can look at that as well. And we can see here that currently we still have, let me kind of update these charts here a little bit so they look a little bit better. Things have definitely changed on us here, so we want to do this ascending, this as well as ascending. This one is ascending, descending. This one, let's see, ascending as well. and ascending. Okay, there, the charts look a little bit better. So based on current hash rate, we can still see that Bitfarms, Hive are some of the ones that are the most undervalued, followed by Riot, IREN, Cleanspark, and Marathon there. Cypher is kind of in the middle, along with Hut 8. Core is still looking a little high there, along with BitDeer. And then if we look at future hash rate growth, Bitfarms and Hive still look undervalued, along with IREN and Cleanspark there. Riot, followed by Marathon, and then BitDeer and Hut look a little bit more fairly valued. And then Cypher and Core actually look a little higher, right? Core is going to be generating a heck of a lot of revenue from their Core Weave deal, so we kind of understand the reasoning there. BitDeer is going to be growing as well, so we can kind of see BitDeer, at least for the current valuation here, is getting a little bit of a premium for their future growth, which is going to be happening in the second half of the year and into 2026 as well. Plus, we've heard some good stories or news from them about pausing expansion in like the Ohio area for Bitcoin mining, because they have some interest from possible HPCI customers there. So they might actually generate some revenue from that. Okay, so that's kind of where I think maybe where the stock price of BitDeer is reflecting that right now. But yeah, you can still see that some of the big guys here are being undervalued for what they really should be. And then later on this week, we'll also take a look at just their market caps, their hodls and things like that. We'll see where that all stands as well. Are they being valued any better? Not really, to be honest with you guys, but we'll take a look at the numbers nonetheless. And then we still have to look at the quarter-over-quarter results for them and the quarterly results, which miner did the best over prior quarter in growth and financials, all that stuff. But that's going to be coming down later on this week here. But that's all I got for you guys here. So great continuation of adoption for Bitcoin, which I love seeing, right? I'm hoping you guys love seeing that as well. And then Bitcoin price, yeah, it did have a seesaw today, but it did go back up, so that was nice. And I didn't get the spreadsheet updated for the Patreon members. I do apologize. It's just a crazy day today. I will get this out. I'll probably get this out later on tonight. I should be able to get this out later on tonight for you guys. So you guys will have the updates from the weekend and the updates from the day as well on this. So you guys will have all that data. And if you want to join there, link for that is down in the description. It's through the Patreon membership. And you get access to our private Discord server as well. Okay, that was a mouthful. Let's get into the Q&A here. As always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And we're going to work our way up on the comments questions and work our way down as always, and we'll call it a night. So Bitcoin's doing pretty good. 106,000, we're doing good. All right, talked about that. Let's see here. What do we have here? All right. Bitchin82's got a question here. During previous BTC bull run, did any miners make a substantial profit? Yeah. They had, I think it was 2 or 3 quarters of really good profit we saw that from, I believe, Mara, Riot, Hive, even Bitfarms, and Cleanspark was just starting out last cycle, right? They came in 2021, but they were, I don't even know, I can't remember if they were profitable or not. Probably have to look back through it, but some of them were profitable. All right. Koala asks, are Bitcoin miners still about to make 3 to 5x in this cycle? They are not just lagging behind BTC, but also lagging behind many AI stocks. They are really disappointed for not meeting previous highs. Yeah, I still think I'm being conservative here and kind of sandbagging a little bit here. But I do believe that they will still at least do a very minimum of 2 to 3x. They could definitely do a lot better as time progresses and Bitcoin goes up higher in value. But I'm just keeping expectations a little bit lower. And if we get much higher than that, that's all going to be gravy, right? We're all going to be buying stakes at that point. Let's see. Yep. Most of the BTC miners are still at least 50% away from their previous high in December of 2024. Yes. Yeah, I agree with you there. Let's see. All right, Daniel's got a question here. Will Mara go beyond 30? I believe so. It's only like a 2x from where it's at right now. Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000. I would think they would go up there. Let's see. Daniel says so many shorts. Yeah, Cleanspark, same thing. Mara, a lot of shorts there as well. Para says 175, Seb, it's coming. They doubted us. 175,000? Yeah, that's coming. I think it's going to be here probably within the next, I would say, probably 6 months. Okay, let's see. Did you hear Ben saying that Bitfarms should be valued at 20 to 30 times as a compute company versus 4 to 5 times as Bitcoin miner? Great time coming to Bitfarms stock. That's if they get valued that way, right? We're not seeing that not just on Bitfarms, but we're seeing it also on, well, IREN, Riot, Cypher, other ones as well, right? I mean, they're being valued right now like 2 or 3 multiple as it is. So yeah, if they could get valued at 20, that would be basically a 10x from where they are being valued right now. Can they get that? Maybe, if they get an HPCI deal with a customer there, whether it's a hyperscaler or enterprise customers or something like that. If they can build that out, then yeah, maybe they will get better valued. But maybe, they may have to do something like, maybe, I'm not saying this is the case, but you know how Hut 8 is actually divesting itself of their Bitcoin mining business and putting it on American BTC. They're going to have 80% ownership there, but it's still being probably put outside of the company bounds into a separate vehicle there. And is that what it's going to take for these guys to get valued as a data center company or something like that? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how Hut 8 does. All right. Let's see. Koala has a question. Oh, you're asking B82 there. Okay. All right. Let's see. B82 again, Seb, I think your hash rate growth chart shows how miners may not benefit from BTC price increase due to hash rate growth. Well, hash rate growth is one thing, but as long as Bitcoin price can go faster up, right, percentage-wise increases, then that doesn't really matter there. And as long as the miners are still growing, I think that's okay. One thing we don't want to see on the miners is be basically stuck in an exahash for a long period of time with Bitcoin being flat and our hash rate going up. That's the one thing that we don't want to see. Now, if they're flat on growth for hash rate and Bitcoin hash rate price Bitcoin hash rate still goes up, but the price of Bitcoin goes up faster, then that's still okay because they're still going to be generating more revenue because of that. So there's a couple ways. I mean, there's so many things that impact how profitable miners are, and as long as some of those things still work out in their favor, they're going to be okay. All right, I talked about that one already. All right. Can miners really go beyond their previous high in December 2024? Not expecting these guys to go all-time high. Lose hope totally. So 2024 at the high, some of these guys were, Marathon was at $34 or something like that, right? Somewhere around there. Cleanspark was at $24. I think that's doable. This, as long as Bitcoin goes up to, 150,000 plus to like 200,000 or something like that, I think that is doable with these miners here. Ben Gagnon seems to believe miners will only ever get a 2 to 3x beta multiple, so must diversify. I think he is correct, especially as HODL becomes a significant percent of the market cap of these companies. I believe, yeah. I don't know, 2 to 3x at certain times. There are other times they get overexcited. They could be much higher. Last cycle, some of the miners were at like 30, 40 multiple, right? To the revenues. So I don't know. We'll see if we can get close to that. If we get like 20 multiple, that I think that'd be great. Let's see. Rex says 20.35 billion of shorts will be liquidated at 107,000. Wow, that's a lot of shorts there. So if we can get past that, maybe that's why we had that wall last night. BTC. MX says BTC almost all-time high. Portfolio same as 2023. You're talking about the miners there. Let's see. All right. Kaz has a question here. Seb, thoughts on Hut 8 and ABTC? Hut 8 isn't even a good operator. Feels like a pump and dump. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, historically, Hut 8 has not been a great operator when it comes to Bitcoin mining operations. They've had issues after issues. They've had older equipment, but now they're getting newer equipment. So can American BTC do much better? They're still going to be relying on Hut 8 for megawatts and infrastructure. So that's going to be a question to see if Hut 8 can provide much better uptime than what they have historically done for themselves, at least. So trust but verify, I guess you could say. But it could be a pump and dump, like you're saying. With the Trump team there, keep an eye on things, is what I would say. Daniel asks, will Mara pass $30 this year? Oh, yeah, I think they will pass that. Amik, do you think it's possible for Cleanspark to cross $55 at BTC 155? I don't think so. That's possible. I think we're going to have to be much higher at that point. Bitcoin being 155,000 is 50% gain on Bitcoin roughly. If we get a 2x at least on Cleanspark, we're looking at closer to $20, 20, maybe $25, something like that, right? That's 2x. If we get 3x, we're really looking at about 30 some odd dollars. So I think we really need to be higher in Bitcoin prices at that point. But if we get it, I mean, I'm not saying it's out of the question, but I'm saying it's possible for them to get there. But I'm just trying to keep things on a low level. If we get there, that's going to be awesome. I'm going to be jumping in the street and dancing. All right. Let's see. Do you think Wolf, possible for Wolf to hit $10 when BTC is 100? Where's Wolf right now? Wolf, let's see. Wolf is at $4. That would be basically a 2.5x for it. It's been having quite a nice run up here recently. If we look, not that one, sorry guys. This is the one I wanted. Hit the wrong button. They've had a pretty good run up here from the bottom where they bottomed out. They're up approximately 100%, well 93%, so close to 100% being up here. The $10 going back up to 10, geez. That would be an increase of approximately, and we're not even that high yet. We're looking at, what, probably about 380%, maybe 400%, something like that, gain from the bottom here. From where they are right now, that would be a gain of approximately, if we go up that high, 153%. At least that's what's showing me on that one. From $4. Yeah, I don't see that happening at 120,000, or where was your question there? 100, where was that at? 120,000. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's see. Sarmillan says, "Oh damn, Seb, 175,000 in 6 months. I'll poo my pants if that happens." I think it might happen. I think we might be on a pretty nice rally here, right? And then we might correct back down to 130, 120, go down 30% on it, whatever it's going to be, and then go back up some more in 2026. Let's see. Chuck's got a question here. Mara just sent out a shareholder vote to increase the number of shares of their common stock reserved under the 2018 plan by 18 million shares. What are your thoughts on this? Only by 18 million shares? That seems kind of low. Last time, didn't they increase it by like 200 million shares or 300 million shares, something like that? Why would they only increase it by 18 million shares? I'm a little surprised by that. That would be that low. But yeah, I mean, what has Mara done? Mara has mined, right? And hodled at the same time. And how did they fund all that growth? They didn't sell anything here recently in the last year or so. They're funding it through ATMs and convertible notes and all that stuff. So they're going to need more shares if they're going to pull more on the ATM to fund their operations and the hodl. So that's part of the strategy there. Let's see, SH says Bitfarms Washington site might get a federal agency contract and Bitfarms will do all the build out from A to Z. Yeah, I heard that also. I'd like to have a little more details on that. I may have to re-listen to that portion of it because it kind of just went right over it. But yeah, let's see. Real Rugged DIY says Mara $80 again would be nice. That would be nice for many people that have invested, especially ones that possibly, I don't know if anybody's holding on to it anymore that bought in at $80. There might be a couple people still. But yeah, that'd be great for some of those people to at least get their money back there. Par says all miners are pumps and dumps. Well, yeah, they do pump at certain points and dump at certain points as well. B82 has got another question here. Seb, do you expect the miner price to overshoot and hit a temporary spike, then fall back, or are you expecting them to reach a sustainable valuation that is noticeably higher multiple? That depends. If we have a similar cycle like in the past, I expect them to overshoot and come back down. If perhaps we have a different cycle this time around, like I'm kind of thinking we might, where we have an extended cycle, maybe the miners might at that point get to a certain point and kind of level off a little bit, maybe just follow Bitcoin a little bit more closely and not be that, leverage, that higher leverage play on it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But that's maybe, I don't know. Time will tell on that because if Bitcoin stays above, 150, 200,000 for an extended period of time and goes up even higher after that, the miners are still going to be making pretty good money where they're not going to be losing money potentially, and they're going to be profitable for a longer period of time, where historically we've seen Bitcoin go within 6, 7 months, 8 months, whatever it is, go parabolic, and then within the same amount of time, within a year, go back down 80%. So And at that point, the miners are, not making much. So if they can have an extended period of where they're actually generating good cash flows, that could be a good thing for them. All right. Let's see. B. Rody has a question here. If Bitfarms goes to $10 USD this year, will you promise to get a Bitfarms tattoo? Hello. No, I'm not doing that. Oh, not getting it. I'm not getting any more tattoos. All right. Let's see. So if Bitfarms is at $10, I'll buy everyone here a Corolla. All right. Well, then I guess you got a lot of there. A beige hybrid. All right. Let's see. What's your Bitcoin prediction for December 2025? I think I'm pretty certain we're going to be north of 150,000. I don't know exactly where we're going to be on December there, but I would say somewhere between 150,000 and 200,000 is kind of my estimates of where things might be here. And then we possibly might have a pullback, then go back up even more in 2026. Pitt, hell, Seb, been a little while. Hope all is well. All is well. Good to have you back. Let's see. Sean's got a question here as well. With the price of Bitcoin, should Riot be higher in price right now, or is it at a correct price? No, it should be higher. All of these guys, I believe, are undervalued from where they really should be, based on the simple fact that, yes, Bitcoin going up in value. They've been growing nicely. Their operations have been improving as well. They should be valued higher. Plus, they got a lot of these guys have a huge hodl position like Riot does, right? Riot's position right now to the market cap. Let's take a look at that one really quick since you asked about it. Riot is here. Let me scroll this up right now, and here it is. So based on the latest price action on Riot for today, their hodl to market cap is 63.42%. So each share is $5.69 of hodl value, basically. So yeah, they're a little bit better valued than like Mara is, at least right now. If you look at Mara, when it comes to at least the hodl position, maybe they're not being valued on their operations here. Mara, if you look at that one's 88% hodl to market cap value. So, and their market cap is 5.7 billion. So should they be valued higher? Yes. Should Riot be valued higher as well? Yeah, they're at 3.2. I think they should be higher as well. Not only myself, but the analysts think the same thing. Right? I have Riot between $10 and $15 here. Looking forward a little bit more, and the analysts actually have them a little higher, 22. So I'm using a P of 15 for them. If we bring them up to maybe 20 P, yeah, then we're looking at pretty close to where the analysts are as well. Okay, so I do think they should be valued higher as it is. And as Bitcoin price goes up in value, they should be even valued even more at that point, right? Because not only is their hodl valued more, but their operations can be generating more revenue as well, and they should be valued more. So we saw the miners do pretty well last week. Can't remember how Riot performed on the weekly here last week. See, Riot was up 7.9%. Bitcoin was only up 0.5%, half a percentage point. So these guys are starting to kind of outperform Bitcoin, a much larger multiple than we have seen in the past, at least last week. We'll see if this continues going forward here, which would be nice, which is kind of what I would hope they would do. But we'll see. Let's go back here. Let's see if I got any final questions here. All right. Seb, do you see any scenario where Bitcoin doubles within 6 months, going to 200,000 within the next 6 months, basically by the end of the year? What I've seen here recently, just looking back at the beginning of this year to where we are now, right? We had a correction of about 30%. That was about 3 or 4 months worth of correction there. Last year we saw a correction as well that lasted about 3 to 5 months, went down about 34%, and then went back up here. So if that's starting of a trend, I would expect us to go up to maybe like 150, 160, have a correction that might last a couple months where we go down 30%, 20 to 30%, and then we go back up. So based on that, I would think that would be tough. But if we get more adoption use, if we get the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve bill passed in the Congress there and put on the president's desk to sign, that might be a kind of like a light shed moment for Bitcoin potentially. And then if we hear other countries buying it as well, I mean, we're seeing all the adoption happening here right now as it is. It's just any kind of more adoption that could speed things up a little bit more, that could maybe propel it. That's kind of the only way I could see things happening that way. Real Rug says, I bought 500 shares of Mara in December 2020 at $9.94. I have 300 left. Really haven't sold much since it came back down from $80. Okay, so I mean, you're still in the green then, right? On that one. At times you were in the red, but you're still in the green at least right now. BA2 says 276,000 end of, wow. All right, I would love to see that. That'd be great. B. Rody says 170,000. Let's see. SH says, let's assume Bitcoin's at 175,000. What multiple should miners be at that point? 75% from here, so I would still think bare minimum, I would go like with a 2x from where they are right now. Bare minimum of that would be a 2x. Right, maybe a little bit higher, but somewhere around there. And then if we get more than that, I mean, you saw last week they outperformed Bitcoin quite nicely. So if they can do that for a number of weeks, on average, then yeah, the miners might actually do really, really well here, which would be more in line with what we saw last cycle. Let's see. B already says, question, are you interested in doing Ben Gagnon interview? You know, if they approach me about it, yeah, I'd be open to doing it. I'd love to definitely chat with him. I think I chatted with him. Was it on X? I think it was on X. We had him on X, I think it was, for Spaces or something like that. There. Let's see. Kaz says, we might at a big pump in the week of 26 during the, yes, maybe not, we'll see. All right. B82 says, you say Mara isn't valued on operations, but isn't their ops losing money? Their ops is losing money, but it has gotten better, right? But they still have a lot of, I mean, take into account their infrastructure that they have, the sites, everything else, the assets there. It's not being really valued on that stuff. So that has to be taken into consideration as well, because that's actual real value there. Okay. The Rusty says, only way Riot goes up if Jason resigns. Jason's been there for, what now, 7 years I think he's been there, something like that. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't think he's going to resign. I think if anything he gets possibly kicked out there by the activist investors, or maybe. We'll see. Let's see. SH miners multiple should be based in their profit, which is impacted by their BTC price, but recently the miners don't seem to have a linear profit increase along with BTC price. Profits have been increasing for some of the miners that have been growing. All right. Kaz says, Riot needs a complete overhaul on management level. The whole team pay themselves too much. Well, a lot of companies do that as well. Right. How do you rate Aiden's interview? Are you looking to buy Hive? I would say I love the growth that they're having this year, right? They are doing pretty much the things I would like them to do. And I kind of beat them up over the past on this as well, as their growth has been kind of lackluster. This year, growth is great, right? Getting from 6 exahash to about 25 exahash by the end of the year. That's great. I would have to see the execution there. I'd love to also see their costs come down as far as SG&A. Well, the percentage of costs for SG&A come down. Also, their cost to mine come down as well. And then if we see that, I might buy into them again. But yeah, Hive was the first one that I got into in 2007. Was it 2017? Sorry, 2017, 2018. They were the first miner that I got into at that point, along with my dad. My dad bought a bunch there as well. And then we ended up selling it in 2023. We were just disappointed, unfortunately, with the growth. Let's see. SH says, last year we were more optimistic Bitcoin miners valuation, and this year you are very conservative with your predictions. Yes, that is the case. Why is that? You know, a lot of people have complained that I was maybe too overly optimistic. So I want to temper down expectations for you guys, especially if it's newer people that are coming in maybe, is just to temper the expectations down a little bit. And then if we get much better results based on that, that's all extra, right? Extra gravy, you know, icing on the cake, whatever you want to call it. It's that way I think people don't expect the moon when you're only getting, you know, a sunflower seed or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. BT2 says I bought Hive as well today. Nice. Yeah. So, I mean, they're doing all the right things. It's just they need to execute. So is Hive doing anything to lower their power costs? Their power costs are pretty low in Paraguay. We know that's going to be helping them out. They're also getting newer machines, which is going to be driving their efficiencies as well. So that'll help them out. So that'll kind of lower their costs. They're saying based on that, we should get, what did they say? Was it 10 to 20%? Yeah, I think it was 10 to 20% reduction in power costs. So that's kind of where they're getting that from. Kaz asks, Seb, are you holding any cash or fully invested? I am right now fully invested. I've been having to hodl cash here recently to pay income taxes that I had to pay, April 15th. And then I got to pay property taxes here, the first installment of that at the end of May. And then last year we had a little tornado come through our area, so I'm having my roof redone. And I need to pay my out-of-pocket expense for the insurance there, which is about like $2,500. So that, one thing after another has been kind of piling up on me here in the last couple of months where I've had to hodl cash more, which I would have loved to have been buying here when the miners were actually going down and I wasn't able to. That was driving me nuts. I saw the prices coming down. It's like, man, this is a sale. I want to buy it, but I can't. I got to do other things with the cash, unfortunately. All right, Chuck has a question. What is the long-term funding plan for miners that hodl? Are they just going to hodl their Bitcoin forever and just pull ATM? Some do that. Some sell as well towards the top. We've seen that with Cleanspark, where they did a pretty good job, I think, of managing that, where they sold a portion of their Bitcoin towards the top of Bitcoin cycle, last time at least. This time they've been holding more, but now they're starting to sell as well to fund their operations and things like that, where they also hodl there. So I think that's a good way to do it. Companies like Mara has historically hodled everything and used the ATM to fund it. So I don't agree with that historically I wouldn't agree with that, right? Based on the simple fact that we've had these kind of bull runs and bear markets in Bitcoin cycles. Now, if we get an extended cycle, that might be a different story here. But historically, when you do that, you're basically, holding on to that to the top of Bitcoin peak. You're not selling anything, and then you're riding it all the way down. I think that's a missed opportunity there, where they could have used that money then to either fund growth, grown it again, and then, less dilution on the shareholders at that point. That's kind of just where I look at it that way. Okay, let's see, talked about that one. Okay, Mike's got a question here. Between IREN and Cleanspark, which would you pick to invest in today? Both, actually, for two different reasons, right? They are great companies combined, or separate great companies. When it comes to operations, Bitcoin mining, growth, things like that, for Bitcoin, perfect, right? Then the deviations between the two are, Cleanspark has a hodl position, IREN does not. But IREN does have HPCI potential, whereas Cleanspark does not currently. So you're getting kind of the mixture of the best of the both worlds there. So I definitely do love both of them, and I would say buy both, because you just never know which one's going to outperform the other one really quick. All right. Okay. All right. Sean's got a question here. Seb, am I still bullish on Bitfarms? I own only 1/3 of the shares that I had there last year. So I sold 2/3 in the last, I think it was November, December, January timeframes. I sold 2/3 of it at that point. Reason I sold it was because of the continued extending of the timeframes for getting to 21 exahash. Now they actually lowered that even more. So that's the main reason there. And then as far as them correcting the ship, going in the right direction, I think that's a much better direction that they're going into, being based here in the United States more so than overseas. And going for possibly HPCI, that's I'd say that's maybe a 50-50. If they get it, that's great. If they don't get it, lesson learned there, right? But there's not much going to be growth as far as hash rate growth. So the only thing that we really have to rely on now is them possibly being able to get an HPCI deal. And if they do, then that's a great thing. So if they get that, I'm bullish. If they don't, I might be a little bearish on them right now. Okay, Cass says, same here. I wanted to buy more. I have cash now, but BTC already back up to almost all-time high. Contemplating investing in the rest of my cash. Yeah, buy on dips. Buy on red days like today. We had a nice red day. You could have bought in a little bit at that point. Buy on the red days. Do not buy on the green days. Let's see. Andre says, usually when gold tops, Bitcoin starts really running up. Gold is now down 300 from its high. Gold breaks below 3150. Bitcoin should break out. Okay, good to keep an eye on. Let's see. BTC dumping, not really dumping, it's still up. Let's see. All right. Andre, would you rather have one whole Bitcoin or one whole gold? me personally, I would rather have one Bitcoin. Let's see. Andrew says, Sean, your question doesn't make any. So one whole gold brick, I'm guessing. Okay. IREN did well today. Any thoughts on why? No, I mean, there was nothing that really came out on it other than them being positive UPS for the quarter. Might be a continuation of that. Okay. Dynamite's got a question here. Any day that the miners don't randomly dive 5 to 10% for no reason is a good day. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Kaza has a good point. One whole gold bar, sell it, then buy BTC. That'd be the way to go. All right. I think I've got up to all your guys' questions here. We're going on almost 45 minutes. I think that's good timing here. We're going to call it a day, and we'll get back into the swings tomorrow. So Bitcoin's doing good. We'll see if we can break 107,000, get to 108,000 within the next day or two, and then see where we go from there, right? Can we get above 110,000 here this week? I think that would be great. And then Ben asks, what's your thoughts on an exit plan for MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy does like to front run Bitcoin a lot of times, and then it gets overheated or overbought. Price gets too high. At that point, I would say, sell on the tops, but sell a little bit of each time as things go up, because it does pull back like we saw from 540 or 530 all the way down to, well, everything corrected at that point, but it does correct at certain points. All right, but we'll see where things go tomorrow. We'll see anything else. We'll look at some other stats on the miners as well. Anything of interest, I guess you could say, and we'll go from there. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully Bitcoin goes up. Love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm rambling on. It's getting late. I'll see you then.